avoid debt. I am so immensely thankful to God that I had a wife who was willing to live extremely simply when we had very little. That was the only reason why I've never been in debt in all our years of marriage or my whole life, which was easy in my single days, but never been in debt for anything. I'm so thankful. You know, the advantage of it is that our children saw how we would struggle. And even when we were living here in Bangalore, even after the church started, I said, I want to prove it is possible to live within our income. Let me tell you some of the things we used to do. We could not afford to buy rice from the market. So my wife and I would stand 1 hour in the ration queue out there on Hutchins Road to get rationed rice, which is cheaper. It's not so good quality. We had to clean out a lot more stones, etc. You'd stand in the ration queue. I remember so many years to get sugar because we couldn't afford to buy it. We were not the rich type who could just throw around and get whatever we want. I say God could have made us millionaires, but He didn't. He taught us to be disciplined. He taught us to tested us to see what would we do when we have little. God never gives a man a ministry without testing him. My wife would stand there in the ration queue to get kerosene because gas was too expensive for us. We'd cook on a kerosene stove. This is when we had children at home, right in this house. Then we'd stand in the queue to get kerosene. We'd stand in the queue to get this because it was cheaper in the ration shop. And we wouldn't travel if we couldn't afford it. And even when my mom had a car and it was lying in our house, I hardly ever used it. I hardly ever used it because I couldn't afford the petrol cost. It was lying there. Once in a while, I had to take the children out once in a while. And that's why I think I did when I finally sold it after 25 years, the average was about 600 kilometers in a year. I drove it 50 kilometers a month because I couldn't afford it. I said, I don't want to get into debt. I say, scooter is good enough. I say, my wife and children would go on a scooter or make 2 trips. Determined, I will not get into debt. I'm not going to buy something I can't afford. We'd never buy new clothes for the children on their birthdays. We couldn't afford it. We'd buy new clothes for them when the old clothes wore out, whether it was birthday or not birthday. I said, let the rich people do what they like. We're not in that category. We would take, when they were in kindergarten, we take a pencil and cut it into 2 and say, use the small pencil in kindergarten because you may lose it. We can't afford to keep buying new pencils. Little children lose pencils. We'd cut an eraser into 2. Now, you may think we're stupid, crazy. You know what's the result? 72 years without debt of 1 rupee. I'd like you to beat that record. You may think I'm crazy for cutting pencils into 2 and erasers into 2. All these fellows who spend lavishly, just see how much debt they're in, just see how much unhappiness there is in their homes. Which do you prefer? Little things. We would not buy fish. Too expensive. You don't need fish. You can live without fish. I'm not talking about today. Today, God has given us enough. Our children are well off. We have plenty. But those were the days when our children were in school and to pay the fees and so many things. We would not buy anything we could not afford. We never went out to a restaurant. Even ice cream was a once-in-a-month luxury. Why? Not because we were misers. Even those days, I never took a